The lights inside the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles were blinding. Flashbulbs popped like fireworks. The year was 2025, and the world was watching. It was Hollywood's biggest night, the Global Film Arts Awards, and millions were glued to their screens across continents. For once, it wasn't about box office hits. This moment belonged to Denzel Washington. He was about to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, a crowning honor in a career built on elegance, depth, and unwavering dignity. Backstage, Denzel adjusted his bow tie slowly. "Don't cry out there," his wife Pauletta whispered, gently smoothing the front of his jacket. He chuckled, but his eyes glistened already. This meant something to him, something deep. The crowd roared as his name was called. "Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Denzel Washington." He stepped into the lights, slowly, with pride, with humility. The music faded. Applause rang like thunder. As he reached the podium and opened his mouth to speak, the overhead screen above him flickered, and then a black screen with white text. The entire auditorium fell into a hushed stillness, and the message began. The words appeared slowly on screen, written in clean, solemn letters. "To the man who never broke. You showed us that integrity is not a performance. It's a way of breathing. You taught young black boys that being soft-spoken doesn't mean being weak. You reminded the world that character is legacy." The camera cut to Denzel's face. He was frozen. No one moved. No one dared whisper. It wasn't part of the show. It wasn't planned. From a continent that watched you, to a man who stood tall even in the silence of injustice. "This is not Hollywood honoring you, sir. This is us. This is me, Ibrahim Traoré, son of Burkina Faso, student of your legacy, brother in the fight for dignity." Gasps echoed across the hall. Many didn't know the name well, but those who did, world leaders, activists, quiet students of hope, immediately recognized him. President Ibrahim Traoré, the young African leader who had stunned the world with his conviction, now addressing Denzel live, at his moment of glory. Denzel's hand trembled at the podium, and he whispered, "What is this?" "Denzel, I am not here as a president tonight. I am here as a child who once watched Malcolm X in a dusty village room and dreamed of becoming a man. You raised generations across oceans without ever meeting us. You led us, not with your hand, but with your soul." Denzel's lip quivered. He turned the pages of his prepared speech, slowly, then folded them in half. The audience could feel it. He wouldn't read them. He couldn't. His eyes were wet now. His jaw clenched. "You reminded us that grace is power. That silence can be louder than applause. That the fight for our people doesn't require cameras. It requires courage." The final line of the message appeared. "I salute you, not with medals, but with memory. For every young African child who believed they were worth something because they saw a man like you stand like an unshakable tree in the wind. Thank you. Ibrahim Traoré." Denzel lowered his head. The room was dead silent. He stepped back from the mic, then forward again, and whispered, I can't follow that. Thank you, Traoré." He stepped down, in tears. The cameras kept rolling, but no one in the theater moved. People held their breath as Denzel walked off the stage, wiping his eyes discreetly. Producers exchanged confused glances. What had just happened? Backstage, crew scrambled. The teleprompter was offline. The message wasn't scheduled. Social media exploded instantly. "Who is Ibrahim Traoré?" people asked. "Why that message?" Meanwhile, the giant screen blinked out, replaced by the glittering awards ceremony logo. In the seats, famous actors and directors sat stunned. Many had rehearsed speeches ready, but none expected this. A hushed whisper spread. That message was not just for Denzel. It was for all of us. Denzel's closest friends waited for him in the green room. They could see the deep sadness and pride etched on his face. He hadn't planned to cry tonight, but those words from Traoré had cracked something open inside. Something raw, something real. Who was Ibrahim Traoré? For those unfamiliar, he was the youngest president of Burkina Faso, known for his fearless stand against corruption and his deep commitment to his people. But his message tonight wasn't political. It was personal. Months earlier, in a quiet village, Traoré had spoken of how Denzel's films inspired him, how seeing a man of color in roles of strength and dignity changed his path forever. On camera, Traoré spoke with humility, faith, and respect. No anger, no demands, just gratitude. The message was a bridge between continents, cultures, and generations. It was a reminder that legacy is not measured by wealth or fame, but by the lives touched. Across the world, people watched again, replayed the moment. And in many hearts, something stirred. A deep well of emotion that couldn't be ignored. Denzel sat quietly in his dressing room, surrounded by awards and memories. He held the Lifetime Achievement Trophy, but felt the real achievement was something invisible, something Traoré's message revealed. He thought back to his childhood, the struggles, the doubts, the times he almost gave up. And yet, here he was. But why did the words shake him so deeply? Because they reminded him that legacy wasn't just about what he'd done on screen. It was about who he was off it. The respect, the faith, the humility, the invisible things a lifetime can build quietly. Suddenly, the applause from earlier seemed distant. The tears now. They were for all the unseen battles, the sacrifices, the prayers, the hope, and the knowledge that someone thousands of miles away was watching, learning, and standing with him in spirit. Denzel's voice broke as he whispered to himself, "Ibrahim, you see me." Within minutes, the clip of the message went viral. Millions shared it. Celebrities posted tributes. World leaders sent statements praising the moment's honesty. News anchors debated the meaning on live TV. But what struck everyone most was the raw humanity of it. People from every corner of the globe felt the quiet power of those words. A Hollywood icon humbled by a message from a young African president, speaking not about politics, but about respect. A feeling rippled through social media. This is bigger than awards. For once, the world paused to remember what truly matters. The day wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about legacy, faith, and courage. Few knew the full story behind Ibrahim Traoré's rise. Born in a small village, he grew up amidst hardship and loss. His father had been a humble farmer, his mother, a schoolteacher. Both instilled in him values of hard work, faith, and humility. Young Ibrahim was shy but observant. He watched the news one night as a child and saw Denzel Washington delivering a speech about hope and justice. Something inside him stirred, a feeling he could not explain. That night, he promised himself to be a man of integrity, like the hero on the screen. Years later, as president, he carried that promise, not as a show, but as a way of life. When he sent the message, it was from a place deep within, gratitude for a man who had unknowingly shaped his soul. Days after the ceremony, Denzel received a discreet call. A plane ticket arrived. A simple note. "Come to Ouagadougou. There is more to say." Curiosity and nervousness tangled in his chest. What more could there be? On arrival, the city greeted him warmly, vibrant and alive with culture and hope. Ibrahim Traoré awaited him, not as a president, but as a brother in respect. They sat together under the soft light of a simple room. No cameras, no audience. Just two men sharing a moment that words on a screen had only begun to reveal. Traoré looked into Denzel's eyes. "Your legacy is not just your past," he said softly. "It's our future." Denzel felt a swell in his heart. He knew this was just the beginning. In the quiet room in Ouagadougou, Denzel and Ibrahim spoke for hours. They talked about dreams, simple and grand, about struggles faced growing up in worlds apart, yet strangely similar. Denzel spoke of Hollywood's spotlight, the pressure, the loneliness behind the fame. Ibrahim shared stories of villages with no electricity, children walking miles for school, and leaders who lost hope. But both men believed in something bigger than themselves. They believed in legacy that could build bridges. "You showed us how to stand tall with kindness," Ibrahim said. Denzel nodded, feeling the weight and warmth of the words. This meeting was no accident. It was a powerful reminder that hope could connect continents. Before Denzel left Burkina Faso, Ibrahim handed him a sealed envelope. "Open it when you need to remember why you started," he said softly. Back in his hotel room, Denzel opened the letter. Inside were words handwritten in a simple script. "When you feel lost in the noise of the world, remember the quiet strength in your story. Remember the children who see you as a beacon. Remember that respect, faith, and humility are the true stars guiding your path. We carry you as you carry us. Ibrahim." Tears filled Denzel's eyes. This wasn't just a letter. It was a lifeline, a promise, a legacy. Back in Los Angeles, Denzel kept the letter close. He refused all interviews. The world buzzed with questions, but he only whispered to his family, "This is not the end, but a new chapter." For days he reflected on the power of faith and respect, on the strength found in humility, on how one man's quiet courage could inspire millions. And he made a silent promise: to live not just for applause, but for the lives waiting beyond the stage, for the children in Burkina Faso, for the next generation, for Ibrahim. Days passed. The world was still talking, but Denzel felt a quiet storm inside. He knew the power of words, yet struggled with what he couldn't say aloud. He thought about all the times he had faced injustice, loneliness, and doubt. Moments when he almost gave up. Now Traoré's message echoed louder than ever. It wasn't just a tribute. It was a call to live with purpose, beyond the screen, beyond the stage. One night, alone in his study, Denzel pulled out old journals from his youth. He read pages filled with hope and fear. He understood. Legacy was messy. It was tears and triumph, silence and voice. And above all, it was love. Meanwhile, in a small village in Burkina Faso, a group of children gathered under a baobab tree. They had heard the story, how their president had sent a message to Denzel Washington. To their Denzel, the man who showed them hope in the darkest moments. One little girl, Amina, whispered to her brother, "He's like a real-life hero, someone who shows us it's okay to dream." They didn't know the full story, but they felt the power of respect and faith that connected them across the world. Amina looked up at the stars. "One day I want to be like him, like Traoré, like Denzel." Her brother nodded, eyes shining with belief. Months later, Denzel returned to the stage, but this time it was different. Not to receive awards, but to speak for something bigger. He gave a speech at a global peace summit in New York. He spoke about faith, humility, and legacy, words he had come to live. He spoke about the connection between continents, between one man's courage and a continent's hope. And he spoke of Ibrahim Traoré, not as a politician, but as a brother, a teacher, and a symbol. The audience wept, because for the first time, they felt the real meaning of honor. After Denzel's speech at the summit, something changed. The story of that night in Los Angeles spread beyond entertainment news. Schools began teaching it as a lesson in respect and legacy. Churches quoted Ibrahim's words in sermons about humility. Families gathered to talk about courage in quiet moments. It was no longer just a message on a screen. It was a movement, a reminder that heroes aren't only those on stage. They are those who live with faith, humility, and deep respect for others. Denzel and Ibrahim's story became a beacon, lighting the way for millions who needed hope. Behind the scenes, Denzel and Ibrahim stayed in close touch. They exchanged letters, calls, and stories. They spoke about the power of silence, the strength in kindness, and the courage to keep fighting even when no one is watching. Their bond was not built on politics or fame, but on shared humanity. A bond that proved how one simple message, spoken from the heart, can ripple across oceans and change lives. Years later, at a quiet ceremony in Burkina Faso, Denzel stood beside Ibrahim under the bright African sky. The world watched again, but this time, it was a celebration of legacy beyond awards. Denzel looked at the faces of children, mothers, and fathers, people whose lives had been touched not by stardom, but by respect, faith, and humility. He whispered softly, "Legacy is not about the applause. It's about the hearts we touch, the courage we inspire, and the love we leave behind." As the crowd cheered, Denzel and Ibrahim clasped hands. Two men, two worlds, one story, a story that will live forever. Dear viewer, if this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Share how it moved you, your thoughts, your tears, your hopes. Together, we can celebrate courage, faith, and legacy, and inspire a world that needs it now more than ever. Don't just watch, join the journey.